Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Hannah Muke, and I'm a Senior Staff Specialist here at the Bay Area Air District. I'm joined today by Desiree Tuvera, John Delarose, Yuzhang Liu, and Eliza Kane. Today's webinar will focus on the program requirements, funding amounts, and application process for the statewide VW Zero-Emission Freight and Marine Grant Program. This webinar is also being recorded and will be available on our website soon after today. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items so you know how to best participate. We have muted all participants and turned off the video function. In case you have an AI note keeper, please turn it off to ensure it doesn't disrupt our meeting. A copy of the presentation and a recording of the webinar will be available on our website soon. You can also email us at californiavwtrust@baaqmd.gov to submit additional comments and feedback. You may send in your questions at any time during the presentation so that we can collect them and answer all the questions during the Q&A session at the end. Please send your questions to Please Send Me Your Questions, Desiree. You can also send questions, comments, and feedback to our VW Grants email if you are unable to ask them during today's webinar. Any questions that we can't answer today will be added to the FAQ document available on our website. Here's a quick outline of our presentation. Our goal is to cover 5 things with you in the next 15 minutes: to give a broad overview of the VW grant program, to share program basics, to go over eligible project types and the evaluation process. I'll also be sharing some examples about how funding amounts are determined and quickly show you how to apply using the online portal system. The VW Mitigation Trust is the result of settlement agreements reached in 2016 and 17 with Volkswagen and other parties for their illegal use of defeat devices in certain VW diesel vehicles. The VW Trust funds are intended to fully mitigate the excess NOx emissions caused by VW's action. The California Air Resources Board, or CARB, is the designated lead agency acting on the state's behalf as beneficiary to implement California's allocation of VW trust funds. In 2018, CARB approved a beneficiary mitigation plan, which describes how the more than $360 million in VW trust funds will be awarded among 5 approved program categories, and eligibility and program requirements for each of these categories, which are shown in the pie chart. In California, the VW mitigation program is being administered statewide in partnership between CARB and 3 air districts. Regardless of the air district in which you reside, you may apply to this program. The Bay Area Air Quality Management District is serving as the VW program administrator for the zero-emission freight and marine category and light-duty zero-emission infrastructure category. Today's webinar will focus on zero-emission freight and marine project category. The Zero-Emission Freight and Marine Program is open to eligible projects statewide. We have 13 million remaining for marine vessel repowers. This is the last chance to apply for marine vessel repower incentives. Funds remaining in the marine project category upon closure of this solicitation will be moved to the cargo handling equipment and forklift project category where there is higher demand. Currently, the heavy lift, forklift, and port cargo handling equipment project category is oversubscribed. We're still accepting applications, however, they will be placed on the wait list. Once it is determined that the remaining funds will be reallocated to the cargo handling and forklift category, we will notify all applicants on the wait list. Here are some program basics. This is a statewide program. Funds are awarded on a first-come, first-served basis. Eligible project categories include heavy lift forklifts, port cargo handling equipment, and marine repowers for ferries, tugboats, and towboats. Payments are made on a reimbursement basis. Co-funding with other grants may be allowed, but may not exceed 100% of eligible costs, and also only are allowed if the other funding source does not claim NOx emission reduction benefits and the project meets all program requirements. New applications are being placed on a wait list in order received. There are 3 types of project categories that are eligible for funding under this solicitation. Replacement of heavy lift forklifts, port cargo handling equipment, and as we mentioned, it provides funding for repowering of engines for ferries, tugboats, and towboats in California waters. Don't miss your chance. Apply for funding for marine vessel repower projects by 4 p.m. on August 14th this year. When you fill out an application, you're able to apply for multiple project types and for multiple pieces of equipment. Right. Here is the anticipated schedule for application review and award proposal for any new marine repower projects. As mentioned before, the final day for applications is August 14th. Review of applications for completion and approvals are tentatively scheduled to be done by the end of October, and the latest contracts will be routed to potential grantees by the end of November. Full contract execution is anticipated by February 24th, 2026. Please note that vessel repower projects must be completed and back in service no later than February 24th, 2028. The VW grant amount will be determined by using the base grant amount or the cost effectiveness ratio. For both types, funding is limited by 75% of total eligible costs for private businesses or 100% of total eligible costs for government agencies. Total eligible costs include accompanying infrastructure costs like panel replacement, trenching, and installation of chargers, but does not include costs incurred prior to contracting. Applicants who are unable to provide sufficient documentation to support a cost effectiveness calculation will only be eligible for the base grant amount. This solicitation is open statewide to any applicants who owns and operates equipment within California. That said, one of the goals of the state-approved beneficiary mitigation plan is to maximize the reductions of NOx emissions from this program in areas disproportionately impacted by air pollution. This means 75% of the total program funding must be awarded to projects that benefit the state's most impacted communities. A link to this map is in our guidance document online. All project locations are welcome to apply. First, let us consider the case of heavy lift forklifts and eligible infrastructure. Eligible forklifts must have a lift capacity of at least 8,001 pounds or more. Some examples of eligible forklifts include reach stackers, side loaders, top loaders, and additionally, engines must be Tier 4 or earlier. Liquid propane gas is also eligible. The equipment can be operated anywhere in California. The second type of equipment that is eligible is port cargo handling equipment and infrastructure. Qualifying characteristics for cargo handling equipment, also known as CHE, are the equipment must be Tier 4 or earlier. Some examples of eligible cargo handling equipment are rubber-tired gantry cranes, straddle carriers, shuttle carriers, terminal tractors, yard hostlers, and yard tractors. Basically, equipment used to move freight or goods at a port. And CHE must operate at a port at least some percentage of the time. As we've mentioned before, this solicitation includes an updated port definition. So please see the definition in the guidance for complete information. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Finally, let's go over some key requirements for the marine vessel repower category. Only the costs related to the repower of engines in ferries, tugboats, and towboats and any accompanying infrastructure to charge the vessel are eligible. Vessel replacements are not eligible. All propulsion engines on a vessel must be upgraded to zero emission. If a vessel has a Tier 3 or newer auxiliary engine, they may be kept on the vessel. For marine repower projects, applicants must submit evidence of their application to CARB's Zero Emission and Advanced Technology, ZET, for review, and they must receive approval of ZET prior to grant agreement execution. As noted earlier, the application deadline for marine vessel repower projects is 4 p.m. on August 14th. Okay, so earlier we mentioned that awards will be determined using a base grant amount or using cost effectiveness. Let's look at how this works by discussing a funding example. Here's an example of a forklift project that we previously funded. This is a privately owned forklift with a Tier 1 engine and 33,000 pound lift capacity that will be replaced with a new 36,000 pound lift capacity electric forklift and a charger. The total eligible costs for the new forklift is $357,000. This consists of $289,000 in costs for the forklift and about $60K for the charger, taxes, and shipping. The applicant also submitted a quote that included some ineligible costs. In this case, it was $12,000 for contracts management services, which wasn't included in the sum of the total eligible costs. The table on the top right shows the maximum funding that is available for privately or publicly owned equipment. Since this is a private owner, the maximum award is limited to 75% of total eligible costs, but additionally, award amounts are either limited to base grant amount or the cost effectiveness limit, whichever is higher. So let's take a look at potential funding under two scenarios. One, if the equipment operated 256 hours per year, it would meet the cost effectiveness limit and be eligible for the maximum potential award of $267,700. If the equipment instead only operated 50 hours per year, it wouldn't meet the cost effectiveness limit, and the grant would be limited to the base grant amount of $210,000, which is less than 75% of eligible costs. So this shows how both the maximum percent and max award limit must be considered together. Here's an example of how we evaluate projects with co-funding. In this case, the applicant has been awarded $43,000 from CORE. Because this doesn't affect the 75% or cost effectiveness limit, the grant award is not reduced by this CORE voucher amount. However, had this been a public agency, the VW grant would be reduced by $43,000 so that the total funding does not exceed 100% of the cost of the new equipment. There are several types of ineligible costs, such as any costs not directly related to the new equipment and labor costs related to grant administration and project management. The list shown on this slide is not exhaustive. For a full list, please review the guidance document. Great. So let's move on to the final section of this webinar. We now want to introduce the application process to help you successfully submit your application. We have some great resources available to help you with the application. We have specific equipment fact sheets that are available to give an overview about requirements. Solicitation guidance has all the requirements of the program. Please review the appendices in the guidance and look for checklists on what you need to gather. There's the link to the application form, and at the bottom there are instructional videos available to help with filling out the application. Here is a screenshot of what the application portal looks like. And another screenshot of just what to expect when you're filling out this application. If you have any questions about the website, please see the instructional videos at the bottom of the VW website. And if that does not help you, please reach out to us directly. Please refer to the Appendix A of the guidance document for the complete application checklist. Applicants will need to demonstrate that their project is eligible by uploading documentation that is specific to each project category. And here is an example, proof of ownership, usage records, insurance documents, equipment price quotes, among others. And for marine, the most immediate is the ZEET application submittal confirmation. So we'll be looking for that for sure. So at a high level, here are important grantee obligations. Grantee must sign the grant agreement, comply with all applicable rules and regulations, as well as contract requirements. The project must be able to be implemented by the deadline. This includes ordering, installation of equipment, scrapping the old equipment, and submission of the reimbursement request. The grantee must be willing to cooperate with inspections of the old and new equipment and potential audits. Operate the new equipment for 3 years and submit annual usage reports and retain those records for 3 additional years. Finally, we're available to answer any of your questions. Here's our contact information. So this concludes our presentation. Let's open it up to the Q&A, and we'll give it a few minutes for people to enter their questions in the chat. Thank you.